The restaurant was silent for a moment, all eyes fixed on the young waitress who had just greeted an elderly woman, in sign language. No one expected it, not even the billionaire sitting right beside her. The woman's eyes lit up with surprise, her face softening into the warmest smile anyone in the room had ever seen. What happened next would change the lives of everyone at that table, and it all began with a simple act of kindness. Hey everyone! Welcome back to Kindness in Action, where we share real, heart-touching stories that remind us of the power of empathy, love, and small acts that make the world brighter. If you enjoy stories that inspire kindness, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts after this one. Now, let's dive into today's story, a story that proves kindness can be louder than words. It was a crisp autumn morning in downtown Chicago. The kind of day where the city buzzed with business meetings, coffee runs, and hurried footsteps echoing through glass towers. Inside one of the city's most elegant restaurants, the staff were busy preparing for a private luncheon. Among them was Emily, a young waitress in her early 20s. She wasn't from money, and her life was anything but easy. Emily worked double shifts at the restaurant just to afford rent for her tiny apartment and to support her younger brother, who was still in high school. But despite her struggles, Emily carried something rare, an unshakable kindness. Her coworkers often joked that Emily could make even the grumpiest customer smile. She had that gentle, calming presence, the kind that made people feel seen and valued. That day, Emily was assigned to serve a small private party, 3 guests, all listed under one powerful name, Charles Whitmore. The billionaire CEO of a global investment firm. His wealth was legendary, and so was his reputation for being sharp, confident, and, according to rumors, a little intimidating. But when the guests arrived, Emily quickly noticed something that made her heart soften. Charles wasn't alone. Beside him was an elegant elderly woman with bright silver hair and kind eyes, his mother, Margaret. And across from them sat another woman, perhaps a business associate or family friend. As Emily approached their table with a welcoming smile, she greeted them politely. But then, she saw something that made her pause. Margaret, the elderly woman, wasn't responding verbally. Instead, she was looking down, her hands fidgeting nervously in her lap. Charles leaned over to his mother and gently spoke to her, but Margaret didn't reply. That's when Emily noticed, Margaret was deaf. It wasn't mentioned in the reservation notes, and it seemed like most of the staff didn't know. Emily hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do. She remembered her own mother, who used to tell her, kindness isn't just what you feel, it's what you do. And then, something inside her sparked. Emily slowly raised her hands, and began to sign. Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Emily. I'll be your server today. Margaret froze for a second, her eyes widening in disbelief. Then, a huge smile spread across her face. Her hands trembled as she signed back, "You know sign language?" Emily smiled warmly and nodded. "Yes, ma'am. My brother is deaf. I learned for him." For a moment, the whole table went silent. Even Charles looked speechless, his confident smile fading into surprise. He hadn't seen anyone outside their family speak to his mother like that in years. Margaret's eyes filled with tears as she reached out and touched Emily's hand. The two began to talk, with their hands, their expressions, their hearts. Emily asked about her day, whether she liked the restaurant, and if she preferred tea or coffee. Margaret couldn't stop smiling. It was the first time in a long while that someone outside her family had treated her like she wasn't invisible. Charles watched quietly. He'd spent millions building companies, funding projects, and helping communities, but at that moment, he realized something money could never buy: genuine human connection. As the meal continued, Emily made sure Margaret felt included in every conversation. When Charles spoke to the table, Emily quickly translated key points in sign language so Margaret could follow along. When Margaret laughed, the whole table lit up. Even the woman sitting nearby, who had been watching skeptically at first, leaned closer, clearly moved. She later whispered to Charles, "Your mother hasn't looked this happy in years." Charles smiled faintly, his gaze softening as he looked at Emily. "She really hasn't," he said quietly. After the meal, when it was time for dessert, Emily brought out a small plate with a slice of cake, decorated with the words, "Thank you, Mrs. Whitmore," written in chocolate. She signed to Margaret, "You are a very kind lady. Thank you for visiting us." Margaret's eyes welled up with tears. She signed back, "No, thank you. You made me feel seen." When the lunch ended, Charles stood up and asked to speak with Emily privately. She grew nervous. Had she done something wrong? But Charles smiled gently and said, "You have no idea what you just did for my mother. She's been struggling to connect with people since my father passed away. You reminded her that kindness still exists." He reached into his jacket pocket and handed her a business card. "If you ever need anything, college, support, or a new opportunity, call me. The world needs more people like you." Emily tried to hold back tears. "Thank you, sir," she said softly. "But I was just doing what felt right." And as for Margaret and Charles, they stayed in touch with her, even inviting her to family gatherings. Because for them, Emily wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was proof that kindness, no matter how small, can echo louder than any word ever spoken. So the next time you have a chance to be kind, take it. You never know whose heart you might touch or whose life you might change. Because kindness, it truly is the one language everyone can understand. If this story warmed your heart, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a reminder of how powerful kindness can be. This is kindness in action, and remember, even the smallest gesture can change the biggest hearts.